Welcome back to Daily Defi. Today is June 24th of 2021. We'll be discussing today's topics, then getting right into DeFi Pulse and juicy NFTs. But right off the bat, I did want to say rest in peace, John McAfee. Obviously, I did not personally know him. I'm not going to speak on all the controversy. I just wanted to say from a human perspective, feel for everyone who knew him intimately. And we'll move on from there. Also, I really do not like the people that are using his face in the thumbnails. I never liked this when someone passed away and people use it as as clickbait. So I'm not going to use his name in the title at all. Anyways, moving on. So starting off with Just, Augur, and Ankr. Those are three altcoins that are doing really well on the 24-hour time frame, while the majority of the market continues to be down. We are seeing a lot of these things happening, a lot of these different trends going on in the crypto market. We're seeing things like the death cross happening, essentially where that's the 200-day moving average that I talked about in global TA, essentially representing all of the past price action for the past 200 days and averaging that out. And then the 50-day moving average crosses below it. That indicates much more of a bearish trend. Personally, I like to use these things to my advantage. So I like to make money when the market goes up and when it goes down. And I like to price in bull scenarios because no one can say exactly what it's going to do on this 24-hour time frame, right? So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of different factors, but I think this week I'll be covering these things more in detail. Also, what to do when you are in a bearish market, because honestly, you can make a lot more money when things are bearish and planning ahead versus when just things are bullish and you're just buying at the top, right? I like to make solid plans in a bear market, think very rationally, think very logically, and plan, okay, what is going to happen? How can I average in? And we'll talk about all these things moving forward this week. But the other article we will be talking about is soft rug pulls. I'm here over on Cointelegraph. Very interesting article and something you should be watching out for. And then some things here. I like to use Quartz as my daily news kind of briefing, just because a lot of these free paid news organizations typically give you somewhat of a biased approach, and they have some ties with advertisers, obviously, so that always kind of brings a bias, and they kind of have an agenda. But with Quartz, it's not something like Bloomberg, it's not something like Yahoo Finance, it's not any of these. It's mostly just objective news talking about the events, not someone's opinion. I like to go, okay, if I want to talk with someone about their opinion, that's great. If I want to form my own opinion, great. But when I get my news, I want to see objective facts, and that's why we're going to be talking about Warren Buffett and Gates Foundation. So, lastly, a DeFi Pulse. Let's start it out. Total value locked in is $49.27 billion. Curve finance, crazy. Curve, and there's some problems here with the Oracle with Aave, but I find it pretty insane that Curve pushed above Compound and Maker. For the longest time, Maker was in that number one spot. Compound was behind it, and then Aave was in the third spot. So we've just kind of completely done a 180. And now Curve Finance is at number two. Aave is still technically number one based on total value locked in, at least how DeFi Pulse has it. But it's very interesting things to watch. DeFi Pulse Index is down quite a bit, about 7.5%, 228.35. Interesting. So juicy NFTs, non-fungible token 24-hour volume is right around $1 million. So that's good to see. I like to see non-fungible tokens being more liquid. And I think in this case, even if we're in a bear market in different altcoins, I would like to see the non-fungible token market kind of carve out its own niche. In yesterday's Daily Defi, we talked about, okay, what is going on with the correlation in the market with Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. Those are the main things that I like to look for, how to gauge and spot trends early, understanding the correlation in the market. So you can see CryptoPunks is right around $105,000, Sandbox Lands, and ENS. So those are the typical names that we do see. We're going to move into this first article here from Quartz. Very interesting what's going on here with Buffett. It's crazy times for Mr. Bill Gates. I think a lot of people saw, hey, maybe Elon Musk, maybe Jeff Bezos are a bit more kind of like crazy supervillain. I'm not saying they're supervillains, but they kind of fit the movie role of like this interesting kind of more movie style character. But now it seems like Bill Gates, he's with his current ex-wife. Now they got a divorce. They had the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Warren Buffett was a trustee, and now he stepped down. If you've read books, as I have on Bill Gates and on Warren Buffett and kind of how they came to their success, I like to do these things even if you agree with what they did. I've read, the great book on Elon Musk by Ashley Vance. I've read Jeff Bezos' book, which is The Everything Store. One of my favorite books on Warren Buffett is just called The Snowball. And there's a bunch of other books on all these different things as well. But as far as it goes, again, I like to apply what Abraham Lincoln says, which is learn from everybody, even if it's what not to do. So with a lot of these people, I think they made somewhat good business decisions in the early days, right? And it all gauges on, okay, what's your metric of success? But as far as the personal life decisions, I mean, all of them you see, they've literally had divorces, right? I mean, I think Warren Buffett even got a divorce. So you see with money comes this stress. And personally, I like to have this proper balance in life where I can enjoy wherever I'm at. You know, I'm here on the Black Sea and enjoy kind of the mixture of, okay, I'm investing in most markets that I visit, but having a nice balance in between that and stress, like minimizing stress, because you see, okay, if you're simulating these other people's experiences, like Mr. Bill Gates, then he tried to go around and at least allegedly get with some workers, right? Like getting with accountants. And it's like, man, you're a multi-billionaire. This is kind of crazy. You're acting like you're some guy who just started a restaurant or a casino. And it's interesting. And Warren Buffett's pulling out from it. So 90-year-old also announced that he's donating $4.1 billion in Berkshire Hathaway stock. Him and Charlie Munger own that. I think, honestly, out of all these people that I just talked about, Charlie Munger is probably the person that I would rather model my life around, because Charlie Munger, I mean, great mind. Poor Charlie's Almanac, he lays out the 25 cognitive biases. I'm really interested in kind of evolutionary psychology and how the mind works when it comes to investing in business and all these different things. And he did a great job of laying that out. I've considered doing a video series on the 25 cognitive biases, but honestly, I might do a different channel for more psychology-based things or business-based things. This channel is specifically on like global investment sectors, you know, crypto, commodities, things like emerging market investing, stocks, whatever it is, alternative asset classes. And so anyways, let's see. So he's still behind the Tata founder, Yasmeet Tata, the biggest philanthropist in the last century. From what I understand, Tata has passed away. He's like an Indian billionaire who gave away a ton of money. I also did want to mention this before we move on to this article from Cointelegraph. On Hong Kong's Apple Daily newspaper published its last edition. The pro-democracy outlet is shutting down over concerns over staff safety. Hong Kong queued for hours to grab the final issue. Very interesting. I bet that final issue is going to go for a lot of money one day. Okay, so this article here from Cointelegraph on soft rug pulls is something you have to keep in mind. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% facts, what went on here, based on what went on with Venus, XVS. And this is why I always say, hey, do your own research. Obviously, this wasn't like a full-on rug pull, but some people are saying that, hey, you know, this is some shady things went on. This is the kind of double-edged sword you have in the crypto market, right? You have the benefits of the upside and not having the one kind of centralized risk. But with DeFi, it can be a bit scary if you don't know how to do your own research. So I always talk about that video link down below in the description, looking at fundamental analysis, analyzing things like white paper, roadmap, team, all these different things, sentimentals, technicals, and on-chain analysis. So I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but they basically claim that they pulled a soft rug pull. For lending protocols, the sound governance isn't the only thing. Venus is most challenging. Yeah, so very interesting what's going on here. They said the members of the new Venus community denied the allegations, claiming that it was a rumor and the Swipe team has handed in all of their tokens. The incident was not prevented the Venus native XVX token from slumping 40% the same time last week when it was traded close to $34. According to CoinGecko, XVS is down 87% from its all-time high of 147. On May 10th, changing hands for $19.28 at the time of writing. Very, very interesting. This article, I think, was written, today. So fascinating things that are going on in the market. You always need to watch out for these things. And I'm much more interested in the market when we're in these bearish trends. At least I personally think we're still in kind of a short-term bear season in a long-term bull market. So I talked about even when the price of Bitcoin was around $60,000, how there will be many times throughout this bull run, long-term bull run, that people will call, hey, it's going to be all over. You know, there's death cross. There's all these different things going on. And it's important to price that in, but also understand that, hey, I would not necessarily bet the farm on everything going to zero, right? I like to take much more of a balanced approach and look at the probabilities versus certainties. So a lot of people like to speak in certainties. You know, is the bull market over? Well, I think short term, obviously we are in a bearish trend. Inside, just like when I look at technical analysis, right? The macro trend, we talked about this in yesterday's Daily DeFi, the macro trend is very important to understand. But short term, you can break up, fake out, and break down, right? That's exactly what happened with this, right? We were in the symmetrical triangle. We basically broke up, had this little symmetrical triangle up here, then broke back down into the trend, busted down again from that. Now we push back up. So this is where the market becomes very volatile, and this is where it's very important to act non-emotionally and act logically and rationally in the market. So keep all those things in mind. We'll move on to the top DeFi tokens over here. So we can see pretty much everything, like I talked about yesterday, is pretty dang correlated, right? So most of these things are very, very correlated. Let me see. Yeah, there's only a few that are up decently. PlaySwap is doing nice numbers today. I think some of the money flowing out of these other projects, you have to see when something like Venus has this style of news where some people go, okay, maybe there's some more risk than I originally thought with Venus. Maybe I didn't do my own research, which I personally did. I had actually exited my Venus position before, it was like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I didn't know this was going to happen. I still like the projects. But I in some of these projects, when I see we're kind of in the short term bear trend, I do what do you call it? Like trimming the hedges, right? So you hire a landscaper on your property. They come in and they trim the hedges, right? They trim kind of the bushes, and that's kind of, for me, some of these smaller cap altcoins with higher risk. That's what I personally do. There's also some that I just hold long term because I've already de-risked. So most of them I always talk about in the how to pull your profits with altcoins video link down below. In this bull run, when I was averaging into a lot of altcoins, Bitcoin was below $10,000. So a lot of these I'm still currently in profit in. So it all depends on your entry position, and that's why it's very hard. I was speaking with someone the other day, and they were asking, okay, should I sell right now? Because if I sell now and then buy down later, it's good. But again, for me personally, it's like, what was your entry position? Have you already de-risked? Do you need the money? What is going on? And these are all important things to take in mind. It's never binary. It's never black and white. This is something where, if this is your first investing bull run, go steady past bull runs in things like commodities and things like the housing sector, the stock market. A random walk down Wall Street does a decent job of laying this out with like the tulip bulb craze, and kind of the seashell craze, all these different things, the .com craze, and understanding, okay, how market psychology typically works in this time when most people are acting in fear and acting emotionally. That's where I like to go, let me form a plan, let me average into some of these projects. Now, I'm not saying you should do that necessarily now, but I'm saying build your own plan. I have a great video on that down below in the description. It's called Global Investment Framework. Okay, so moving on to Ankr, ANKR, another great project that I love. When it got listed on Coinbase, I had this massive pop. I got into this one in November, or no, it was when I was in Serbia. I was back here in September. Yeah, so it was around 0.006 cents. It's another great example, right? So it's done over a 10x, and it's still there, even though it looks like it's retraced. I obviously pulled a little bit of profits here. I didn't time the top perfectly, but got listed on Coinbase, went blasted up. And yeah, anyways, interesting things going on here with Ankr because it kind of has bounced off these levels down here. We fell down to like 5 cents. Now it's popped up to 7 cents, up about 23% on the daily market cap of around $500 million. Wow, that's crazy. Because I remember back here, the market cap was nothing. And volume up about 183% on the daily. Interesting opportunities here with Ankr. Augur. Oh, by the way, somebody was asking in another Daily DeFi. Whenever I'm showing these projects in Daily DeFi, it is not buying signals. If anything, these are maybe selling signals because I basically look for, okay, what altcoins are performing well in the 24-hour time frame, and why are they outperforming the market, right? That's the whole point. Is if everything was correlated, since everything for the most part, I would say like 85 to 90% in the altcoin market is correlated. You look at all those prices just in the past 7 days. I want to look for what are the outliers, right? To me, that's what's interesting. So that's why I have them in these news stories with Daily DeFi, and that's why I cover it every single day, because there will always be these projects that are doing things kind of in the short term where, hey, maybe you should trim some of the hedges, right? Maybe you should pull a little bit of profits when you see this crazy pump. Like I mean, 23% in a day. A lot of people in traditional markets like to see 7% over time. So anyways, moving on to Augur. So when you see 20% in a day, personally, I look at pulling some profit. So rank 169, right around $12, up about 5% on the daily. Market cap 136 million. Volume is down 20%. We peaked up here back in 2018, and we never really returned to those highs. Augur is one that I haven't done a deep dive on, but I've been considering it. So we had that high of $108, and now we've retraced back down to kind of this support level back here. So interesting opportunity again here with Agur, right around $12, but it has seen a short-term pop. Lastly, Just, ticker symbol JST, ranked number 194, on about 32,000 watch lists. This is right around 4 cents, up about 12% on the daily market cap, is up 12% at 103 million. Volume is down 21%. Just has retraced quite significantly off those highs of 17 cents. So what you have around, you could say just around like a 4x, right? So if we did a 4x from here, that would return us to our highs. So keep all these things in mind, guys. Again, rest in peace, John McAfee. Thank you very much for watching Daily DeFi. That's all for this one. Let me take a little sip of water here. If you have any questions about anything that we discussed, if you have any criticisms, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and all. As always, invest global. And until next time.